Hi there, Heather Steves here, and today I want to share with you another planner page that I made for the Sidekick Saturday prompts. The prompt for January 20th is memories, so I'm going to build this page and put it on the back of my previous page, which was for January 6th. So I started out with some papers from Reminiscence Book 5. I actually was using the thinner papers because I'm going to attach them directly to that other page. I grabbed this little pocket from Labels, Tags, and More, 2111, which is from the new Art Journal Elements set, and then I'm using Planner Essentials 38, Birds on a Splatter, to cut my base page out. I often find when I'm running the full pages through my die cutting machine, it doesn't quite cut through either at the bottom or the top, but it's really not a big deal and I can just trim it off with my scissors. And once that's done, I don't want to waste any papers because I might use them down the road, so I just trim off those little scraps and I save those little bits for later. So I just want to do a bit of a dry fit here. So I just pulled those ATC cards so they wouldn't be in the way, place that page down and line it up, and then I'm just getting this little pocket ready to go on there as well. So I like to use my bone folder and just make sure those folds are creased very well. So I had a couple of base pages already cut out using the set 2110 torn. And now I'm actually going to use those same die, well, not the same dies, but from the same set, some dies, to cut out my photographs. So these are some old photographs from many years ago, and I just ran them through my die cutting machine and they cut really well without any issue cutting all of those little bits, just poking out the little holes so that they show nicely, and look at how great those look. Basically they're little ATC cards but with photos instead of just decorations. So I just use my regular tape gun to tape those down, but then with this one here, I just want to make sure that the edge stays down, so I'm just using some liquid adhesive just to ensure that that doesn't get pulled up as I'm taking those in and out of the pocket. So now that those pictures are matted, I'm just going to set them aside and I'm going to go back to my base page. So I wanted to pull out a color from my photos so that I could use that to ink in behind this splatter page. So I ended up settling on peeled paint, and I'm just going to use my blending brush and I'm going to add some of that color to the back of this other page. And so that just allows it to shine through and all of those splatters to stand out quite well and blend in with the colors in my photos. Just want to check and make sure that I've got everything covered, little spot that I just need to add to, and now that it's all covered, I can move on to the next step, which is actually ink blending the edges of that page. So this one I want to use a brown on that, so I'm just kind of checking my colors just to see which color I want to use. So it's actually a bit of a lighter brown color. So I'm just going to edge the pocket page, but I'm also going to edge the base page, and then I'm going to use my blending brush and I'm going to use that to get some of the edges of those splatters covered. So it works okay. It does tend to color the paper a little bit, but it actually looks pretty good by doing that as well. So now that everything's inked, I can go ahead and start to attach this to the base page. So I'm just going to use some of my tape runner for the bigger spots, but then I'm going to go in with my liquid adhesive as well and just make sure that all of the paper that's around those little splatters is going to stick down properly and stay there. So it can be a little bit difficult to get pages lined up, but I just start at the side with the holes in it, and then I just kind of make sure that it's there. With the liquid adhesive you have a bit of time to move things around, but it lined up quite nicely. Next I'm going to attach my pocket, so I'm just using some double-sided adhesive and I'm putting that on the flaps, making sure that I rub it down really good because it needs that pressure to give it proper adherence. So I just put the little pictures in there just so I can figure out what position I want there, and then I thought, oh, I should figure out what else I'm going to put on the page. So I cut out the memories, which is from Planner Essentials 6. It's actually retired now. And then I grabbed this butterfly, which is from the 2112 Ornate Butterfly. This is a new release from David for the Art Journal Elements collection. And I'm just playing around figuring out how I can maximize those butterfly wings on that little piece of black paper before I run it through my die cut machine. Now I got a really great tip for assembling this butterfly, which I'm pretty sure came from David, but because it has the tiny little antennas and the little tail, it's actually easier to trim those off of the ones that are going to be on the bottom. That way you don't have to worry too much about lining them up, and it can be really hard to line up little tiny thin pieces of paper. So this makes it much easier. So I'm just using my liquid adhesive on these, making sure that I get every little piece covered, and then I need to make sure that I give it some good pressure as I'm sticking them together. I find it easier to line up these kinds of die cuts when I hold them in my hand there, and you see that I can just kind of line them up that way. The liquid glue allows you a little bit of time to kind of shift things around to make sure they line up well, but it does dry really fast, so you still have to be pretty quick with it. Once my butterfly was all assembled, I just wanted to make sure that you couldn't see any of the white core of the cardstock at the edges, so I went around and I just inked all of those edges. So I felt that I still needed a little bit more on the page, so I grabbed this little die cut from the 2113 bubble wrap set from the Art Journal Essentials new release, and I cut that out with some of the green paper from one of the Reminiscence books. So I wanted to ink the edges of this piece as well, but this time I decided to grab the peeled paint again, and so I inked all of the edges of that, and then just rubbing it there just to make sure that it's dry, because I don't want to get ink all over everything. Then I grabbed the Memories die cut that I had cut out earlier and inked all of those edges because it has a white core, so I didn't want that white core to show through. And then I figured I might as well attach this to the pocket now, so just used a bit of my liquid adhesive on that and then just attached it along the bottom of that pocket, making sure it was nice and straight. So by putting this die cut just on that one side, I felt that it was really unbalanced, so I thought, well, I'll just run my scissors through and just cut a little piece of it out that I can use on the other side. So that was just enough there, and then the other piece fits nicely on the right hand side. I just needed to round off those edges where it had been cut and then re-ink them, and then it looks much more balanced by having them on both sides. So I just grabbed my liquid adhesive and I'm using that to stick down those two pieces of the die cut. So once those little pieces are attached down, my next step is to attach the pocket. So I grabbed the pocket, I just pulled out the cards out of it, and then I'm going to attach just the bottom first. So I pulled off the release paper on that, and make sure that you rub that down good, and then you can put the sides up, and it makes it much easier to get your pocket nice and straight and even by doing it that way. So now that I have the pocket on and the cards, the photos back in, I can go ahead and stick down my butterfly because I want to make sure it's positioned really nicely with those in there already. So now that that is done, I just need to add some reinforcements to my page. So I already had some of these just simple black circle ones cut, and luckily for me, they were actually put on double-sided adhesive. So I inked the edges to make sure again that there's no white showing, and then I was able to quickly attach those to my page. Now, maybe in the future, I might still add one more little tag or picture into the back because there is still one little pocket there that's empty. But for now, my page is done. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and have yourself a wonderful day.